What's up, everybody? Welcome to S.W.A.T MMA, where we're smoking weed and talking mixed martial arts. My name is Jarrod. I'm here with Paul.
What up?
We are coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. This is episode number 93, and today we are going to be talking all about last week's UFC. We're going to do an in-depth dive into the UFC 259 pay-per-view featuring 3 championship fights this upcoming weekend. We're going to go over the latest MMA news, plus a look at a boxing update and more. Before we get into all that, grab your weed, fire it up, and let's get into our weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
This week, we are puffing on 2 different strains. We've got the GG4, which we're not going to get into because we've discussed it at length on this show. We've also got Runts added to the mix today, which you just took a hit of, Paul. How's it taste?
Good.
Good. That's very, very, very descriptive. Runts is a blend of Skittles and gelato.
Yeah, so I feel like it's more of a, it's not as heavy of like a, it's more smooth, you know what I mean?
It's very creamy and smooth taste, and it's actually named for its smell in this instance, not so much its flavor, but it does smell very similar to the Runts candy, which it makes some sense, bro, because the genetics on this, the Skittles is grape ape crossed with grapefruit, and then gelato's the sunset sherbet and the thin mint cookies, which is GSC phenotype. So you've got a lot of like fruity flavors in the mix right there.
Yep.
It makes sense that those terpenes are going to produce that kind of smell.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a really popular strain.
Yeah, super duper popular.
Last year in 2020, it was Leafly.com's marijuana strain of the year.
Yep.
It's
It's also one of those like Blue Dream where it's like every single person claims to have it.
Yo, we got the Runts, bro. We got them Runts. That was pretty obvious when you do have a legitimate strain, though, because it's got a very distinctive purple and lime green coloring, and then of course the really, really fruity smell is a good giveaway that you got the real thing. The GG4 we've got as well, which I mentioned, and we've still got some of those Ghost Train Haze THCA diamonds in our PAX 3 vaporizer. THCA diamonds, about 90% THC if you're unfamiliar. It's about the most concentrated form of THC that you can get. Those happen to be the Skittles. We had those Skittles ones, I think it was before this batch of the Ghost Train Haze. Although, you know, when it comes to the diamonds...
I'm going to ask you about something really weird right now.
Ask me.
Have you heard about people snorting THC fucking like taking diamonds and crushing it up and like straight up snorting?
Yes, I have heard of that, and it's nonsense.
It makes no sense.
No, because THC is not active.
Yeah.
It doesn't get you high.
It's crazy, though. Why the fuck
It's THCA.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be converted to regular THC by heat.
Yeah.
It's the same reason, like, if you cook with cannabis, you have to decarbolize it, because cannabis has THCA.
Yeah.
When you fucking smoke weed, lighting it on fire converts the THCA to THC.
Yeah.
Then you get high. So if you're snorting fucking ground up THCA diamonds up your nose like a jackass, you're wasting expensive, good, concentrated THC.
That's like the newest thing on the internet, though. Like, that's what people are doing.
Yeah, this is, you know, so is eating fucking Tide Pods. I mean, at least you're not going to really die or anything.
True. Yeah,
But you're not going to get high. Anybody that says you're getting high,
you're lying.
You're lying.
You're a lie.
You're a little bit of a placebo effect there.
Yeah.
That's just funny, dude. Yeah. That's a funny thing.
It's fucking stupid.
So yeah, don't anybody listening, don't try that.
Don't snort weed.
Don't waste your THCA diamonds or your diamond dust. Sometimes they take diamonds and they crush them up. That's another thing they're doing out here in dispensaries, and then rolling joints in it. So you've got a diamond dust coated joint.
Yeah.
You don't snort the diamond dust.
Yeah, no.
Just like you don't take cannabis and just eat it, because you're not going to get high either.
No.
You're just going to feel weird.
Yeah.
Your stomach is going to be like, what the hell did you just do?
Yeah. Ate some grass.
Yeah, you got to cook it.
Yeah.
Decarbonization is a thing. Let's talk a little bit about some combat sports.
Shall we?
Because that's what we do on this show.
Do we?
And before we do that, I'm going to hit this weed right here because that's what else we do on this show. I hope
All right,
you folks listening are smoking on something delicious and hopefully legal wherever you are as well.
And if not, don't get caught.
You know, it's still a big deal in some places.
It really is.
It's a
Well,
little
that's another thing
ridiculous.
we were talking about a little bit happening in the last couple of weeks is that New Jersey passed legalization for recreational.
Yes, that's a big deal.
It is, yeah.
Every state.
State by state by state.
At some point, the federal government has to look at the overwhelming now majority of states that have some form of legalized cannabis, be it
Well, it's just-
medical or recreational or both.
Yeah. Well, it's the taxation of it. Also, you got to look at the numbers for
Yes.
state by state. It's just through the roof.
You know, even if they don't make it actually legal, if they'll just remove it from its schedule on the drug list for the DEA. I mean, right now it's a Scheduled 1 controlled substance.
Still?
It's the same thing as fucking cocaine and and heroin in the Fed's eyes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Craziness.
It's ridiculous. It's time for change.
Yeah.
And now it's not just a bunch of fucking stoners sitting around saying that. You've got entire states, you know.
Well, and then ultimately, who are the people that own the dispensaries when when all these places turn to recreational? Is a lot of the politicians. So it's like you got to think a lot of them are on board, but they're just kind of keeping the status quo, not trying to ruffle any feathers.
Bro, there's
you
a
know what I
big
mean?
dispensary here in Las Vegas that one of the owners is a fucking senator.
Yeah, a
And
lot.
he tries to keep it quiet.
yeah.
I don't remember who it is, so I'm not going to say it. But he actually voted against legislation to fucking legalize shit
Doesn't make any sense.
while legalize shit nationally, while
Yeah.
benefiting from legalized shit locally.
Well, because he probably won't benefit as much on a national level.
Fucking politician.
Yeah.
Oh, the fucking
yeah.
politician. Let's
Well,
let's
ultimately,
talk
though,
about-
it's one of those things, though, that it did get brought up for federal legalization. Obviously, it was turned down, but the fact that they even voted on it is a step in the right direction.
Yes, absolutely. So welcome to the fold, New Jersey.
Yup.
Hopefully, we'll get some more along the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's get into a little bit of the fights over the weekend. So in the main event, we had
And the UFC Fight Night Las
yeah.
Vegas, it was number
UFC
20.
No, yeah,
We joke about it all the time. It was
20,000.
Fight Night Vegas 20. It was headlined by what? Cyril Gain and
Cyril Gain and Rosenstruck.
Rosenstruck.
Yeah.
Cyril
Both
Gahn
names.
Gain.
Yeah. I was going to say both names you
You
can
know.
pronounce however you feel. But kind of a stinker, huh?
Dude, I didn't like that shit. The main event was blah. I
And
broke out my book on my phone.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
I trimmed my
is
nails a little bit.
It
Thought
was
about
blah,
life.
but I don't think it was like a lot of people are putting the blame on Cyril Gahn not being able to finish the fight, but it's like, what do you want the guy to do, man? Like the way the UFC has look at this division overall, right? So they've kind of just thrusted him into this place of like he's the next biggest thing in the division, where he only has 6 fights in his like pro career.
Well, he had 7 coming in. He was
Was it
7-0. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a green
super
MMA
super
fighter.
green though. Is basically what my point is, and it's like they're thrusting him into this role, and then they're expecting him to just have super crazy knockouts every single time. That's just not something you're ever gonna get with any kind of guy. It doesn't matter if you're a heavyweight, light heavyweight. Doesn't matter. You can't put that kind of pressure on a guy, and then when he doesn't come through, completely bash him to the media. When it takes 2 to tango, like we talked about earlier too before the show. Rosenstruck only threw like 40 strikes over a 5-round fight. So it's like...
He landed. He threw more than that, but he
Yeah.
landed 40, I think 42 right in there.
But he probably threw 50.
And,
like, let's
and
just be honest.
Gahn, he landed over 100, but not by much.
Yeah.
And that sounds all right when you hear it, but he put a lot of that on in the last couple rounds.
Yeah.
There was a lot of standing around, though. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think he should be criticized for his performance. I do not think the criticism should come from Dana fucking White.
Yeah, true.
though.
True, I feel
Like,
you.
that's not his place to go out and shit all over his employees, Bob Arum style.
But then again, so this is... I think... I agree with you that Gahn does deserve a little bit of
Dude, he did a lot
blame.
of Yair was not doing anything. He was standing there.
Yeah.
But then Gain
Well-
was bouncing and standing there too. And I get it. You don't want to rush in. It's the heavyweight division.
That's what I was just going to say.
But-
I was like, you're talking about a guy with Rosenstruck now who's had 2 fights like this.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. Is
Yeah.
Gahn ultimately landed over 100 strikes and won the fight.
Yeah.
Rosenstruck is the one who I think should be getting the majority of the
That's what I think
criticism
too,
here
yeah.
because he looked like shit. He stood there just like he did against Derek fucking Lewis.
Well, no, the same thing he did against, not Derek Lewis, Alistair Overeem.
Is it?
It was Alistair Overeem.
Who was the two that fought and they just stood there looking at each other? I
Oh,
thought it was
that was Derek
Ngannou
Lewis and Ngannou.
and Ngannou. Oh, that was
Yeah.
well. It was reminiscent of that.
Yeah, it was
but not
reminiscent.
as
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and here's the thing. Like with Rosenstrike, we're talking about his only 2 5-round fights.
Yeah, it was Overeem. That's right.
Yeah.
And he won that on the last minute.
It would have been
Big
50-45 also if
He had like 30
not,
seconds
yeah.
left in the fight when or
If
something
he had
like
not landed that shot, it would have been 50-45 as well.
Yeah.
Basically, my point being is though, when you're gone in this situation and you saw what happened in the Alistair fight and you're going into the 4th and 5th round, you know that he's only got a prayer left. You know what I mean? So
No, he wants that pay.
he wants that pay. There's that. The UFC sets the structure, so I don't understand that criticism from Dana, where he's like, "Well, he could have finished the fight, but he couldn't." But it's like, okay, so or he tries to overstretch himself, tries to finish the fight, gets finished, and then it's a $50K bonus for Rosenstrike. He loses half his money on top of that, and you're talking about him for a title shot instead of Gon having a maybe little bit of maybe a mediocre win, but at the same time, a win is a win. You know.
Well, why is Dana choosing to focus his criticism on the winner of the fight when the loser of the fight not only lost but performed considerably worse than
Way
the winner
worse.
did? And it wasn't like he performed that way because he was shut down.
Yeah, no, he just stood there.
I don't understand his criticism to either of them. But if you're going to criticize one, why the fuck are you criticizing the guy who just won, who you're trying as a promoter to get a little bit of push behind?
Yeah.
Why don't you be like, if you're going to say anything, say something like, well, I think Gon did the best he could against a fighter who wasn't really willing to engage. And this is the heavyweight division. These guys got to be careful because one punch can knock you out.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Making that the narrative, puts a bow on it where it's like people aren't going to go back and be like, oh, Dana covering for his guys again. No, that's what he should be doing. Like, that's...
Picture this from the casual fan who maybe didn't even watch the fight or came
Yeah.
in at the last minute or saw it and was just like, well, this was kind of a boring fight, but whatever. And then Dana comes on and he tells them what to think. He tells them, hey, the guy you just saw win, he actually kind of sucks and did real shitty. So
Yeah. Well, then now...
what does he think they're going to think the next time they
was
see
gonna
his
say-
name on the fucking
Yeah.
the marquee? They're going to be like, oh, that's the guy that he sucked last time.
Yeah.
Dana told me so.
Yeah. True.
Why would you throw the shit on him?
Well, it's funny, too, because Dana just shit on Bob Arum for the same thing before with Bud Crawford. And it's
Shitting on the
like-
winner
Yeah. So
that
it's
you
like
promote,
you're shitting on your own product.
who didn't do that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen far worse.
Much worse.
And we saw far worse from Rosenstruck, unfortunately. And not to say too much of an I told you so, but it's just what I was saying last week. I didn't believe in this guy. I didn't believe he'd win. Because look, he's a good fighter, but I'm just not sold on him being like
He's just got that
elite.
one-punch power.
Yeah.
Is ultimately
And now
what it comes down to.
that's a lot of action where he's not looking real good. So once again, I think Dana just whatever.
Put his foot in his mouth.
He could help Gon here. Instead, he shits on him. And whatever. I don't think it's a big deal for Gon. I don't really think it hurts him overall. Like, as far as his next fight goes, he's going to get booked the same.
Yeah, he's still going to be in that. He's still in that top 5 now.
He won. He beat a guy. He didn't look the greatest against a guy who didn't want to fight. Enough said. And Dana.
I think Derek
shake
Lewis
my
is his
head.
next fight.
4-0?
Yeah,
That'd be interesting.
I think that's the next fight.
Does Gon have much of a ground game? Does he have something I'm unaware of? Because I'm thinking that he doesn't. Because he certainly didn't try to take Yair down.
Shit, I'm not quite sure to be honest. I know
he's
he's
more of a
I
stand
know
and
he's from
bang
that
type.
camp that Francis is from though, out in France.
Right.
So
Well,
Francis didn't have the greatest.
that'd be an interesting matchup, but we'll see. We'll see what's up. But there was
Fight of the
one
night.
fight on there that was really good. It was definitely my favorite fight of the card. And of
You got
course, we're
fight of the
talking
night.
about the 135-pound matchup, right?
Yep. Pedro Munoz took out Jimmy Rivera, who I don't really know where he stands anymore in this division.
Well, he took him out with the calf kick.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he
that
wasn't able
laid
to
that
take him out
foundation
with
to
it
chop
100%,
that tree down.
but he chopped the fuck out of that thing.
fighters are going to have to deal with this kick. You
Yeah.
can't check this calf kick.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like such a simple thing, and we've seen it before, but now we're just seeing it in a whole new light, especially when they hit that nerve. That is it,
Yeah.
the perennial nerve or
I have
something
no
similar
idea.
to that. I might be
Yeah.
mispronouncing that. But, that'll deaden the leg. We've seen that in multiple
drop
fights
foot.
now. We've seen it happen to Henry Cejudo. We've seen it happen to Sean O'Malley. We've seen it happen to Conor McGregor to an extent,
Yeah.
or so he claimed.
Yeah.
It didn't take his whole foot away during the match, but he definitely was.
It happened to Michael
but the calf
Chandler.
kick itself took him out. It happened
Yeah.
to Chandler in
Yeah,
Bellator, right?
Yep.
And now this is a thing that a lot of fighters are really working on, and the only defense seems to be to avoid the kick. You need to go over it, or you need to back up. You can't check that kick. The same damage happens.
My question to you is: do you think this kick ultimately changes the distance at which people fight at?
I think it might.
Because I feel like the only way you could really combat it is to get very far away or just get so close that if he kicks you, he's not going to be able to wrap his foot around and catch you in the back of the kneecap.
Or you need to be able to move that lead leg up in time where you're not checking it, you're going up and over it, or you're shifting your
You got to
weight
jump
back.
Well, remember Henry Cejudo was jumping over it.
Yeah, there was a few times where Rivera here, before the end, was managing to avoid the kick.
Yeah.
He came to that same conclusion as well. Then, the announcer started talking about it too. It's not an original idea by me, but it's clearly obvious.
Uh-huh.
This is a big trend in mixed martial arts. Kind of like, we see this happen, like when Anderson Silva delivered the front kick to Vitor Belfort. It's another fairly simple kick in the world of kicking.
Yeah.
We didn't see it much in the UFC, and then it became a thing for a minute.
Yeah.
This calf kick seems even more deadly, frankly, because
Well, it's like everyone talks about. It's not. There's two ways this kick hurts you. Obviously, the nerve damage that you're talking about. On the backside is your calf. It's like
it's
the
the
same,
big muscle.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing I heard Joe Rogan talking about. It's like it's the same thing as like your forearm. Just hit your forearms together like this. And now imagine that, but your legs, and there's
With
just
the power
nowhere
and
to
speed.
swell. There's
Right.
nowhere. Yeah, there's just nowhere to swell either. Like your leg just swells up so much that there's no pressure you could put down on your calf because there's nowhere for the swelling to go. You know what I'm saying?
And by the time Munoz had landed 12 or 13 of those calf kicks on Rivera, the fight was essentially over. I mean, it goes on from there, but his calf and his leg was so fucked up, it altered his whole game plan.
Fucked his whole game plan up, yeah.
And then, he took more punishment after that, but after those, that's all it took to get to the point where it was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, too, is he hit him with so many leg kicks that after the fight, they were fucking comparing their legs because Pedro's was so fucked up from him doing the kicks. So,
We saw that in the Dan Hooker-Paul Felder fight as well, which wound up sending Paul Felder to the hospital for a condition that he thought Rivera was going to have as well, which I cannot recall the name of right now. I just remembered it. But it causes the leg where it swells so much, where it's just like you said, there's nowhere for the swelling to
like
go.
compartment swelling
It'll
or something like that.
compartment something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to go to the hospital to be
Yeah.
fucking let the pressure out.
That's happened to Dustin Poirier in the Eddie Alvarez fight, too.
Yeah, this is a thing that like Conor McGregor has to learn to deal with this because until he does, that's it.
Yeah.
And some of these strikers, like Rivera, was primarily known as a puncher boxer, and dude, your lead leg
It's a lot of
loses
these
that.
guys who are like wrestlers and karate guys who have like that wide stance, and you're just chopping away.
This is a problem for fighters,
is.
and Munoz utilized it beautifully and put the beat down.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Rivera is a tough, good fighter.
Yeah.
But that fight was over in the first round.
Yeah.
By the end of the first, I think by the end of the first round, he landed about 10 to 8 or 10 of those fucking kicks, and then the start of the second round, by the time he got to 12 or 13, it was like he can't fight properly anymore after that. So it's exciting about though, and it puts Munoz right back into title contention there.
Yeah.
At at 135,
Well,
as we see this division shake out.
Yeah, and also ultimately at 135, Pedro Munoz only really lost to Frankie, and like he was in that mix right before the Frankie fight. If he would have won the Frankie fight, then he would have been the one who fought Corey Sandhagen a couple weeks ago.
And it was a close fight with Frankie.
Yeah, super close. A lot of people had him winning, honestly.
They did.
And so I mean, I feel like it just puts him right into the queue. Another big opponent's probably next, probably top 5, top 3. We'll see what happens.
In my opinion, it used to be that 155 was the kind of the it division in the UFC, but because of the situation that Dana White has created, combined with the basic inactivity of Khabib over the years, that division's kind of getting stale as far as championships and upper tier, in my opinion.
Well, no one's fought each other either.
Right. Whereas 135 is turning into just this shark tank of. Now we're adding T.J. Dillashaw to that mix. We've added Edgar. Aldo's down there, like it or
And
not.
then Cody Garbrandt's always in there,
Cody
too.
Garbrandt is in there.
You know,
That's a.
Jose Aldo.
Aljamain Sterling, Petr, Jan. We're talking
mean,
about any of these guys could be champ.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And
then let's just be honest.
super exciting.
You can't tell me that you think that Henry Cejudo is going to be retired for the rest of his life.
Right. There's
Like,
the shadow of Henry Cejudo over it. There's
yeah.
Dominic Cruz, who's
There's
fighting on
Dominic,
this
yep.
upcoming weekend. We'll get to him. He's still in the game, who, despite being old, his actual fight time is pretty low because he hasn't fought much.
Yeah.
So he could still be a factor.
Yeah.
Exciting division. I think that's the it division as far as the lower weights. I don't mean out of the entire UFC, but as far as the lower weight divisions go, they're taking the shine off 55.
I don't know if I agree with it, but I think as far as like fights, yeah, sure. But as far as talent, 55 is still just ridiculous. It's just a shark tank of people who ultimately, if they all start fighting and get going, it's the best division in fighting without a doubt.
55?
Yeah. Like, let's say
I think
tomorrow
they strip with these smaller guys.
They strip Khabib tomorrow. That's still the best division in the world.
I'm not seeing it so much anymore.
Nah?
I'm not saying they suck or anything. I'm saying they're neck and neck with, in my opinion, 35. But I think I'm just saying 35 is nosing ahead right now.
Being honest, heavyweight's having a freaking renaissance right now. When you
They
talk
are. That's
about,
why I
like,
try to draw a distinction between lower weights and heavier weights and try not to compare the two.
I don't know. When you talk about exciting, I think heavyweight could be one of the most exciting divisions in MMA right now. And it's been a while. It's been a while, man.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Like, I feel like light heavyweight was kind of in the infancy of the UFC, was kind of seen as that like it division.
Oh, it was, yeah, for sure. That was the premier division for years in the UFC. I mean, that's where all the big names were back in the day.
I feel like heavyweights kind of took that mantle.
We add John Jones into the mix now, who's looking very
Stipe.
large on his Instagram.
Dude, look at their top 10. Like, you throw John Jones in there, you're talking about Jones, Stipe, fucking Derek Lewis, Francis, fucking Curtis Blades. Like, we're talking all killers, straight through. And then obviously you're talking about Tom Aspinall, who's coming up. Talking about all these fucking ridiculous talents. We'll see what happens.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But swinging back to last week's Vegas card, that's about it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of consequential things to talk about.
Nah, not really.
Outside of that.
On that same weekend, though, we also got to see Canelo Alvarez return to the ring and just look fantastic. As always.
His mandatory defense.
Yep.
Looked spectacular.
Third round TKO by towel being thrown
Was it Yildirim? Got him out of there.
Yeah. It's hard.
In 3 rounds. I'm probably butchering it. I don't know. I'm not going to keep repeating that. I mean, no offense. We're smoking weed.
Yeah, Canelo fucking got in there, got out.
Yeah, 3 rounds, absolute beatdown. It's about what we all expected, though. I mean, there's levels to this game, and nothing against his opponent, but he's not in that level.
He got paid, though.
That's a mandatory defense. He got paid. He earned it. I like the mandatory defenses for the most part in boxing, so I'm not mad when these guys have to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a setup for the Billy Joe
honest.
Saunders fight.
Yep.
I mean,
which was announced literally seconds after.
Yeah, seconds afterwards, complete with a preview trailer and a poster that hit social media probably about the same time that Canelo's hand was raised.
Yeah. So that's going to happen on May 8th. And honestly, when you look at that fight, where do you think it really ranks as far as like Canelo's like toughest fights in his career? Like, you think Billy Joe's really the type of talent that's going to be able to push him, or do you think it's going to be one of those situations where he's just another name? Because Billy Joe's tough.
I'm silent because Billy Joe's a tough fighter, and he's proven that, and he's looked pretty good.
He's still undefeated, I believe.
He is, and Canelo Alvarez, though, is just he's something different at this point. It's hard to deny that. I mean, he's bouncing around weight classes. If you're not named Floyd, you're not beating him.
Yeah.
And Floyd wouldn't beat him now, let's be honest. If Floyd came out of retirement for some insane reason at his age to fuck with Canelo again, I'm pretty sure he get fucking smoked.
Yeah.
So I want to think that it'll be a competitive fight and that Saunders will go to war as best as possible, but I don't see anything stopping Canelo from unifying all of these belts. I think he's gonna beat Saunders, and he's gonna get the unifying match before the end of the year.
So he unifies the belts, right? Ultimately, where do you think that really puts him is like in the like lore of like middleweight champions
I think
all
that's
time?
a big fucking deal, man.
You think so?
Especially now when we're in the 4-belt era and everything is fractured and splintered, and a unifying champion. I hope he keeps them. I hope it's not just a thing where he starts dropping belts right afterwards. But I think that's a very big deal. I think that those are very rare. It puts him a lineal champion of all the belts at that weight. And I think it probably ranks him at the very tip top.
You think so?
In that discussion. I mean, it's hard to put him
like Roy Jones?
We discussed this part in MMA as well, but it's hard for me in the way I judge things to say that before his career is over.
Yeah, true.
But I'm saying if he keeps going at this rate, yes, he will most definitely be in that conversation, if not surpassing Jones. We just don't know right now, but he can't deny he'll be in the talk.
So let me ask you this then, because obviously that part of his career, the part of his career of being a welterweight is over. Like, you know, like he's or not welterweight. Is it welterweight? Right? That's where he was at before.
Who's
Canelo?
that, Jones? Canelo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, where do you think he ranks there? Because you know, there's
Super
so
welter.
many greats that came from that division over the years. Like, do you really think?
It's hard to say because he didn't stay at that class and keep working there.
But you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
think that counts for something different.
When we're talking about like in the lore of like the Roberto Durans of the world and the fucking, you know, Ray Leonard and all the fucking greats that have like been in that whole weight, like, you know, those like 3 weight classes if you really look at it. You know, a lot of those guys jumped all over. So, like, you really think that his resume stacks up to those kind of guys? Because in that era, like Hagler, Hearn, so many guys that were like all fighting at the same time. Like, I just don't think Canelo's ever had that foil that all those guys
No, not
had.
yet. That's why I think you got to wait and see how that plays out. Because you're right; those guys had other competition that
made them great.
And Canelo
The
hasn't
No
had
Mas,
that yet.
like, you know, there's all those great moments, like the Hagler Hearns fight. Obviously, Duran fucking for years was great. All these different, you know, great moments that made boxing what it is today. Like, I don't really know if Canelo has any of those.
Well, he's only, despite his huge number of fights and all of his titles, he's only 30 years old.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Like,
crazy.
he can accomplish a lot over the next 3 to 4 years while still being at a very elite level and possibly even getting better.
Yeah.
You know, before his body starts to go on the decline. And he might stick around longer after that, too. You never know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, he's been in welterweight, light middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think we've ever seen somebody who's jumped that much, other than like maybe Manny.
from welterweight to light heavyweight, yeah,
that's fucking nuts.
Pretty damn impressive.
It's pretty nuts.
Like I said, I just can't make that call until he's actually done. And he's not even close to being done, so it's too early for me to start comparing him to the greats like you talked about with the Haglers and the Leonards and the Durans. But I think we'll be discussing him. We will be.
You think so? You think he'll be? That's all right. So ultimately, you do think he'll be in the discussion?
Oh yeah. I think it's undeniable for me at this point. I mean, to have accomplished what he's done by the age of 30.
Yeah, by 30, yeah, it's fucking nuts. It is nuts.
He's got
I just feel like he's
58 fights by the age of 30.
Ultimately, that's just my one. It's my one criticism of him is I don't think he has that ultimate foil that really tested him. I get the Triple G fight, like it was tough and all that, but like I just feel like if they ran that back a third time, he'll just fuck him up so bad that it'll ruin his own legacy by beating him so bad. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'll make him look like he wasn't the talent he was.
Yeah, I don't think
if they fight a third time. Like,
I agree. He doesn't have anything left to prove there.
I just feel like he needs that though. I feel like every great fighter's had that one guy who was just like the one who knocked you off the rails and you had to come back from. And I get Floyd was that kind of for Canelo, but like ultimately he'll never get that back. You know what I mean? Like there's
No, I mean Floyd was that for a minute,
yeah.
but Floyd also got the advantage of getting Canelo while
When
he was
young.
really young.
Yeah, really young, yeah.
And not the talent that he is now. No smart.
But
on
that's smart
Mayweather's
though.
part.
Yeah, that's just smart shit right there.
Mayweather's
He saw
nothing if he ain't smart as fuck.
Yeah, he saw the
mean-
talent Canelo had, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get this
Take it
guy
out
right
now
now
while you can,
because
man.
shit.
Nothing
I feel
wrong with
like
that.
fight by fight, that win against Canelo makes Floyd's legacy looks better and better. You know what I mean? Like, cause he can always point to that. If people ever get to forgetting about him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, you know that one dude? Yeah, fucking tooled him up.
Well, that was pretty much what we expected Canelo to do over
Yeah,
this
of course.
weekend.
Yeah.
And we're not surprised by the Saunders announcement. Everybody knew that was coming.
I thought it was gonna be before this fight.
Right. I mean, they did announce it, but we knew that it was going to be absolutely official at that point. But, we did have another bit of boxing news we might as well discuss right now.
Yeah.
We did discuss, the welterweights. We got 140-pounders, which is super lightweight these days. But we had a big fight announced there. We've got another unification bout between the IBF and WBA champion Josh Taylor and the WBC WBO champion Jose Ramirez. That's going to be going down on May 22nd on ESPN and ESPN Plus. And I love it when all four belts get unified.
Absolutely.
Used to be all three, now it's all four. I think that's a very exciting fight. Ramirez is 26-0, 17 KOs. Taylor 17-0, 13 KOs. What can you say bad about that?
Yeah.
So kudos to Top Rank and ESPN for getting that done and giving us a big fight there.
Seems like Top Rank's starting to get a little bit of better roster. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's always been their biggest knock over the years is, like, their roster isn't the greatest. But this year, it feels like some of the best fights I've seen have come from Top Rank.
Yeah, they are. They're
the
putting some
Teofimo
stuff together,
Lopez
man.
fight, that Burchell fight versus Valdez last weekend.
Valdez, yeah.
Like, these, they have some good fights on the horizon. And, of course, the Bud Crawford fight back a couple months ago.
Yep, so we're getting 4 belts unified, 140 pounds,
They
May
had the
22nd.
Inoue fight on there, too, right?
Yeah,
So,
little monster.
ESPN, I feel like they're stepping it up. I feel like that's the one knock that Top Rank's always had throughout the years is their roster is not the greatest. But
Well, that's one of the big knocks on boxing is that they don't make the big fights that should be made. And so far this year, I mean, it's only March, but we've had some and we've had a lot of talk. I mean, the Joshua Fury fight is every day that goes by, it seems more likely that's actually happening.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would, but
well, and also on the back end of that, then you also got your boy Ryan Garcia showing up to the Canelo fight, talking about he's fighting Tank Davis again. So
yeah, it turns out Tank Davis's injury to his hand that he suffered in training is not as bad as first thought because it was originally
word?
thought he was going to be knocked out all of 2021. with that. But apparently not. That's the news.
yeah,
that
and he
I've
was
heard.
going around talking about their fight next. So we'll see what happens.
I love that fight.
It has to happen.
That'd be good stuff,
It's
sir.
the ultimate, like,
Saw that.
it's the ultimate matchup of like a power puncher versus speed. You know what I mean? So I like it.
Power puncher versus speed. That sounds like the Ben Askren. Paul fight. Dun dun dun.
Well, hey, let's talk about that also. We had a fight recently announced that was added to that card. Yeah, Frank Kamir taking on Antonio Tarver, which is just stupid. It's a stupid
For
fight.
those of you listening that are saying, what are you talking about? Frank Mir is the former UFC heavyweight champion. Good fighter. Been in Bellator most recently. A little over the hill for MMA. I think he's 42.
Yeah, he's knocked out in both of his last two fights.
Yeah, not really known for his striking. He has been a long-time submission specialist, to say
But he
the
also
least.
doesn't give a fuck.
But he's a tough man, and he's
Yeah.
big as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, he weighs like 265 pounds of thickness. He's not a fat guy. But and Tarver is a former world champion,
Beat Roy Jones.
but he is 52 years old. we've got Frank Mir, who is signed with the BKFC, who said he's taking this fight because he don't give a fuck, and that he wants kind of a little warm-up before fighting in the BKFC cage, rounded square, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Frank's.
Do you
I think this is a terrible idea.
You think Tarver still got it?
I think
How
that
big is he now, though? 'Cause-
Antonio Tarver has been boxing probably since he was 6,
Yeah.
5, 10 maybe.
But here's the
So
thing, though, dude. Is like, at his best, he was fighting fucking middleweight.
yeah. And if he was coming back talking about
Oh, no,
fighting
was he light
a
heavyweight?
boxer, I would be like,
Think he
this
might
is
have been
a
light
terrible
heavyweight,
plan for
sure.
Tarver.
Yeah.
But he's talking about fighting an MMA fighter
Yeah.
who
True.
we saw an
I have to see
MMA
what
fighter, John Moraga, fight
Yeah. Clap.
this past weekend on the undercard of the Canelo fight
Yeah.
against a 1-0 boxer,
Dropped
and
in
he got
7
fucking
seconds.
fucked up
Yeah.
because that's what's going to happen 90 out of 100 times when some fucking MMA fighter thinks they can go fuck with a boxer in boxing.
Well, here's the
People
thing.
look at Conor, hold on. They look at Conor and they go, well, he went 10 rounds with Floyd, so I can do it. And that's because people like to shit on Conor's boxing,
Yeah.
and they don't realize the level that dude happens to be at.
Yeah.
And they think that they're equal because they put on boxing gloves in the gym every day. They spar with fucking headgear and gloves on. They hit pads like boxers do. They hit bags like boxers do. And they think that they can go in there and hang because they're like, I box every day. But no, you don't.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too: is Moraga also completely retired from MMA and is only boxing now.
Right. And he
So,
tried boxing before. He was
terrible.
0-1 before MMA.
Yeah.
And then he goes into MMA. And then he comes back and he loses his first fight. Then he beats a guy who wasn't very good. And then he comes out and he just got smoked. I mean, he got knocked down within the first 7 seconds of the fight. And then he got knocked out.
Stopped with a body
stopped
shot.
with body shots in the fucking second round. And it's not like he's a wuss.
Yeah.
The problem is, I mean, he's a very tough man.
Yeah.
You're fucking with people that have been doing one thing only for their whole fucking lives, dude. When I first walked into a boxing gym, bro, I was 13 years old, and I spent 9 fucking months doing nothing every night of the week except work on my jab and my cardio. That was it. I would come in, I would do the stupid fucking go run for 7 fucking miles, do my stairs, do all the fucking crunches and all the weights, and then after that, it was on to bag work, where all I did was my goddamn jab.
Yeah.
Not another punch. And if I didn't want to fucking do, and that's because I was there to actually become a boxer. Now I didn't just want to, work out. I'm trying to have fights.
Yeah.
And that was what you had to do. That's what my coaching staff put me through. 9 months, dude, of one punch before I was even allowed to learn other punches.
Yeah.
MMA fighters are not doing that.
No.
At no point did that happen to you when
He's
you were a
definitely skipping
child.
steps.
That's the other thing. You're a kid where you're learning shit. Kids learn shit differently. I don't care if it's languages, whether it's math, whatever it is, and whether it's learning how to throw a fucking jab. And then the rest of these punches, it's just a whole different thing. And it's not disrespecting boxers. I'm sorry, MMA fighters to say you can't hang in the boxing ring any more than I think whoever fucking Moraga fought, I can't remember the guy's name, whoever he boxed, dude, he'd smoke that guy in the cage.
Yeah.
It'd be over in 10 seconds if you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Probably in the street, too, but that's not what it's about. And just these MMA guys are not going to stop. Masvidal was there at the Canelo fight. Did you hear him?
Yeah. No. I didn't see
You
it.
talking about him fighting Canelo. Dude, you'll get murdered.
Yeah, he would never touch Canelo. That's the thing. He'd get in the ring and he'd think that he would do some crazy shit, but and ultimately, I just don't think he would ever be able to touch him. Like he just wouldn't be able to touch him.
And that's the thing. All these MMA guys, God bless them, they see these big paychecks and they're like, I can do that. I'm sorry, you probably can't.
No. Yeah.
And not even against a guy that's 1-0 before you face him, because it's just a different thing. Just they don't seem to think they can do it with other stuff. Paul, how come we don't hear this? How come a guy doesn't come out of MMA and then be like, oh, I can go fuck with the top judoka in the world in a judo match? How come they're not going, oh, I can go wrestle Jordan Burroughs?
Yeah, it's true.
But with boxing, they're like, no, I can go fight Floyd. I can go
There's
fight
just
Canelo.
so much money in boxing.
Like, bro, you
that's
can't fight the dude Floyd fucking smoked. You can't fight the dude that Canelo just beat. I don't think Masvidal will beat Yildirim. And that's not disrespectful to Masvidal. It's just I'm over the boxing versus MMA. Frank's going to get smoked in this fight, bro.
Think so?
He's got a puncher's chance. Everybody does. But I think he's going to come out. He's going to look tentative. He's going to shell up. And Tarver's going to toy with him. And I don't see the point of it because BKFC is not boxing either.
Yeah, true.
And that's not going to help him. You can't shell up in the BKFC. You can't. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other conversation. But that's my opinion on it, man.
I feel you. No, I agree with most of what you said.
You know, I hope Frank's getting paid
Yeah.
because I think he's going to get embarrassed.
Yeah, true.
And
I don't know if he's going to get embarrassed, but I do think just because I don't know how Tarver's been taking care of himself. You know what I mean? I think if Tarver's in any kind of shape, he's going to fucking destroy Frank. But I think if he's in there just looking for some cash, maybe Frank has a possibility of, pulling off the upset.
Oh, Frank Tarver. Tarver's no Jake Paul here.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like Ben Askren, yeah, he might win.
Yeah.
Because he's not fighting a dude that's been boxing since he's 6.
Yeah, true.
He's just fighting a guy that just picked it up. Not that much different than an MMA guy picking up boxing.
Yeah.
So,
without a doubt. Well, let's move on for some boxing. Let's talk about some super recent news. So as soon as
back to MMA?
Yeah, back to some MMA. So last night, Instagram and Twitter gets a couple crazy posts from your boy Kamzat.
My boy. Yeah.
Talking about basically that he's done. That COVID has messed his body up so much physically that he thinks he's done irreparable damage and that he never thinks that he'll be able to truly get to the peak of where he'll need to be to get back into the cage.
Wow. What do you think of that?
Well, let me just drop a few little side notes for the people that haven't really followed the story. So, in January, Kamzat and Leon Edwards are scheduled to fight, right?
Yes.
So, about a week out, turns out he gets the COVID. Unfortunate,
Indeed.
And, so that gets canceled. They reschedule it for a month later. He tests positive again. And again, and again, and again. So over the last 3 months, he's testing positive every single time. And he just chose to just train through it.
Yeah, they're showing some footage on Instagram and whatnot of him training through COVID. And I believe he stated something along those lines, that he was just fighting literally at the gym through COVID, which is an interesting way to combat.
The dumbest thing I could ever.
I can't imagine the damage you're going to add extra to yourself. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you had severe bronchitis, would you go to the gym and run and do physical exertion for hours every day?
No.
Deplete your body? And of course not.
No.
You would get much worse.
Exactly.
I can only figure, not being a doctor or an expert of any kind, the same thing's it's going to happen with any virus you get.
Yeah.
So that's pretty insane way to treat yourself.
Yeah, well, and he's up to yesterday still coughing up blood.
Look, these Chechen guys, man, I know they're tough as fuck.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can be too tough for your own good.
Yeah.
Where you think you can just beat anything out of sheer willpower, which is what I'm imagining was occurring here.
Yeah. Well, what else could it be? Because, it's not like you just go to the gym and work your ass off like that and just be like, yeah, I did that because, you know what I mean, for any other reason than just being a hard ass. You know what I mean? Cause
the fact that his coaches and his
allowed
circle
him
of
to,
people would be like, yeah, go for that, instead of being like, dude, go back to bed.
Yeah, true.
I don't really.
I don't like it.
I don't quite understand. It's probably a cultural thing, and these guys are very tough. I get it.
Well,
I don't know. Whatever.
If I'm a coach, I'm looking out for the rest of my guys, and I'm
crazy.
like, hey man, you can't be bringing that shit up in here, giving the whole team fucking COVID. You know what I mean? That's where I would think they would. That's where I think they would, stand, or anyone who would stand who would own a gym. You know what I'm saying?
That's wild, man. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But at some point, when you're hurting yourself, you have to be like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, when you learn the stove is hot and you keep putting your hand on it and leave it there, and it's hard to feel sorry for your burn.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you can feel sorry for your burn, but be like, damn, dude, what are you thinking?
Moved your hand, yeah.
Why did you go out and do all that when you had a disease
serious,
that can be serious.
Well, and here's
It's
the thing
wild,
too, is now, of course, Dana comes swooping in and says, no, he's not done. What happened is this kid is such a savage that yesterday was his first day back since like he's been like cleared of the virus, which I don't believe that if he's still coughing up blood. He tried to come back and he went so hard that he couldn't go as hard as he used to, and it really upset him and hurt him, so he went home and tweeted that. It's like, I don't know about that, bro.
I don't understand Dana White. I mean, 15 minutes ago we were talking about him shitting on winning fighters.
Yeah.
And now you've got him explaining the emotions of people living in a country far, far away from Dana White, who I can't imagine are calling up Dana White and sharing their emotional state with him.
Yeah.
Do you think Khabib Nurmagomedov and Khamzat Chimaev are calling up Dana and going, I feel really emotional right now, Dana?
Yeah.
And so Dana can then explain that to everybody that they're just overreacting because of their emotions?
Yeah. No.
Which is what he said Khabib was doing, and that's what he said Khamzat is doing, and I don't understand that. That is another thing that is equally bizarre to me, Paul.
True. It's very true.
I don't presume to know the details of his training. We can only base on what he has shown us and what others have said, and it seems like he trained through the disease, and I can't
I wonder if
imagine
he's-
what he's thinking either, and I don't know
Is
how
he still
Dana
over in
thinks that.
Sweden for all this? I think.
Well, Dana said they were going to bring him to the U.S.,
Yeah.
and now you've got others saying he's going back to Chechnya, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. Hope he gets better. I don't wish sickness upon anyone.
Yeah.
But, man, you need to stop training and start resting.
Get your
Listen
shit
to, like,
together.
medical doctors. That doesn't
Yeah,
make you some
fuck.
kind of a pussy.
Yeah, it doesn't. No.
You're not a
Especially-
superhero.
Especially it's like COVID's one of those things where it's like, it's so weird because it's already been like we're at a year in and we still don't really know what the fuck is going on. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's kind of like at a standstill still. So it's like, how do you
Well,
just try to push through it? It's just sounds like a terrible, terrible idea.
and we're seeing the consequences of it now. Well, I mean, I'm not a fan of his in any way, but, you know, I hope we feel better,
Yeah,
man.
you can't wish. Yeah.
Hope you feel better for sure. That's fucked up if you're really done.
Well,
How about some announced? We had a lot of announced fights. Let's talk about the slew of announced fights we had, and then we'll circle into UFC 259's 3 title fights.
Yep.
How's that sound?
well, we're headed into March, so we're kind of in that transition period for the UFC where
I'm gonna load up
all
some beer
the
here.
they start doing a lot of the pay-per-view announcements and where, when things are going to happen and stuff like that. So we did get a few big ones. So let's just start off the top. We had Zhang Wei Lee versus Rose Nom Yunus finalized for April 24th.
Now, this is the women's 115-pound champion
Yep.
fighting former champ Rose Nom Yunus.
Yeah.
Any idea of where that's taking place? They
I
didn't
think it's
announce
Las
it.
Vegas.
Probably here.
Yeah, because originally they did want to do an event in China with Zhang.
Oh, please
which
don't do that.
It's just tough right now.
It's not. So that's a tough fight for Rose.
I do think it's a real tough fight for Rose. I think Rose always has her hardest time with the physically tough fighters. You know what I mean? Like Carla Esparza, she's like a more strong, dominant wrestler. Zhang Wei Lee's more like walk you down, be physical type fighters. Even
She beat Andrade.
yeah, but what happened the first time? The first time she got
power-drived.
she got power drived and
Basically.
knocked out. Second time she got beat up in the third too. She
it
won
was a
those
tough
first
fight.
2 rounds, but if that was a 5-round fight, I don't know if Rose wins that fight. Like, let's just be honest.
And her, Rose, speak of emotions, Rose is an emotional fighter. Or
Absolutely.
an emotional person. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's made clear in her social media and other things. And her headspace, I think, dictates a lot of how well she does in a fight.
Yeah.
And she has been publicly kind of all over the place with some things lately. So I wonder about that affecting her fighting sometimes when she's on,
And she's also been kind of weird about not wanting to fight Zhang Wei Lee.
I don't know if that was Dana's spin, because Dana said she didn't want to fight. Pat Barry came out and said she did, and that was crazy. It's I don't know what that was. It's hard to say for sure. But it'll be an interesting fight. I don't know if I like it for Rose, but she has the potential to win it. Absolutely. Be interesting. We had some others, though. What else did we get this week? We had
another title fight rematch between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno going on June 12th.
That's good. It's a rematch, a running back of the fight we just saw.
My question to you is, do you think that whole hospital run, flu thing had anything that much to do with that fight? Like,
The
do you
first
think,
one?
You think Figueiredo comes out and has all the answers and just finishes him?
Yeah, probably. I think in rematches, he's going to do better.
You think so?
I think so. And you're right. He was potentially handicapped by a sickness prior to the fight. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know how much I believe that story.
Me neither. It's hard to say. But when they run it back like this, I tend to go with the champion.
I feel you.
I think he's going to get the win here. I mean, he would have got the win before if it wasn't for the point deduction. Am I right?
Yeah, true. That is true, ultimately.
It was a close fight, enough where that 1 point mattered.
But on my scorecards, I did have Brandon winning the fight.
We'll see. I think I'm still a believer in Figueiredo being the future of that division.
Think so?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's just it for now.
Okay.
But we'll see.
I feel you.
We'll see. But I'm excited to see that fight again. It's a rematch I'm behind.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and then we also had Carla Esparza and Jan. I'm sorry, but the other young lady from China who was making a lot of noise.
She's looking pretty tough, too.
She was going to get the title shot over Rose.
Man, that is a very tough fight for Carla Esparza, who I am a fan of.
Yeah. Carla could get herself right back in the title picture if she wins this fight.
Oh, man, that's tough. I don't know how to pronounce her last name either, but is it Yum?
Yum.
Y-U-M is her first name?
No, it's
Yum.
Y-A-N. My handwriting's terrible.
Y-A-N. I apologize if any fans of hers that were mispronouncing things, but
I don't want to.
she's extremely tough.
Yeah, she is tough.
Like, she looked like a Terminator in that last fight.
Beat down on Karolina Kovacevic.
Yeah,
The
like I was worried
beat down on her.
about Carolina after that.
Like,
fight.
I thought she was going to lose her left eye.
Yeah,
Like, straight up.
like that was I don't like this fight for Carla. I think she's likely to get beat up pretty bad.
Think
unless
so?
she can take her down a lot and out wrestle her, which she has the skill to do. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We don't know much about the other ladies wrestling.
Yeah.
But that's a good fight. Something could happen there. I don't see Carla outstriking her though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's big fight at 145. We got Edson Barboza taking on Shane Burgos.
Edson Barboza just signed a new contract with the UFC too.
Did he?
That he did.
Surprise.
Says he's going to go on another title run. Signed a multi-fight deal.
Coming off the loss to Dan Ige, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
I don't like him in a title run, but I do like anytime he fights. He's, for the most part, a pretty exciting guy.
Yeah, Shane's a fucking animal, though. Coming off that
like
fight
a
of the
really
night
good,
loss to Josh Emmett.
Oh, man.
This is a big fight for him.
Yeah.
He's a fucking savage.
I think he's too much savage for Edson Barboza, who's a little bit past his prime. But, as that fight gets closer, we'll dive a little bit more into that. But that's an interesting fight.
Then we got
It's going to be
Matt Brown.
action-packed.
Matt Brown making the return after his loss to Carlos Condit against Diego Lima.
That is a tough fight right there for Matt Brown.
Yeah, I think actually it's pretty solid for his level. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna be. If he's going to continue fighting, these are the kind of fights he needs to continue to take. The Carlos Condit, Diego Lima, these kind of fights where the guys are kind of at the same stage as he is in their career. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Diego Lima's a solid fighter. I don't know. It's hard for me when guys get past a certain age and I feel like they should be retired, it's hard for me to think they can just keep on going out there and win. And he did look good against Condit in a losing effort.
Yeah.
I thought the scorecards were pretty biased in his fight against Condit. But I think the Matt Brown of old could definitely beat Diego Lima, but I don't know. I'm still a believer in Diego Lima's skill set. I think he probably gets the win against Brown, but it'll be an action-packed fight.
Yep. And then
that's coming up, what, June 19th?
Yeah,
So
June
these are a little bit on June 19th on that. Okay.
And to close it up a little bit, we got Dracar Close taking on Jeremy Stevens on April 17th.
That's 145 pounds.
145 pounds as
Jeremy
well.
Stevens, we haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah. And Dracar Close was supposed to actually fight last weekend against Luis Pena, but there was some unfortunate.
Yeah, Pena pulled out for some reason, right?
Well, now there was one of the cornermen had COVID, so it was like a contact
Is that what it was? Okay.
Contact tracing thing.
I liked that fight for Close. Jeremy Stevens is a whole different animal, though. Stevens needs a win here, too.
Dracar Close dropping to 45, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he was his last fight at 55 was that crazy drag out brawl with now his name is freaking.
Well, that's coming up on April 17th, so we'll talk about it a bit more and just figure out which one of them. Maybe Stevens is moving up. I'm not sure yet. The fight just got announced here in the past day or two, so we'll find out as that gets closer. But that's a lot of action coming our way.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, we'll segue right into UFC 259, which is this weekend.
Yep.
And we've complained a lot over the past 6 months about the quality of the UFC and the cards that they're putting out lately. You know, just a few episodes we were discussing whether or not the UFC had actually getting fucking stale. Yeah. This card has none of those complaints.
Fucking banger of a card here.
Yeah, this is a pay-per-view, and it is headlined by 3 title fights. We've got a light heavyweight title fight at the top, which is a champion versus champion, where you've got the 185-pound champ Adesanya coming up to fight who?
Jan Błachowicz.
Absolutely. And then in the co-main, we've got the women's 145-pound double champ fighting who?
Megan Anderson.
That's
tough.
That's tough for Megan, but
tough.
that is going to be a good fight. Anytime we see the Lioness is going to be action. Then we've also got a 135-pound matchup between Petr Yan and your boy Aljamain Sterling.
Yep.
And then on top of that, we've got a slew of other fights on this card, including the return of former 135-pound champ Dominic Cruz.
Yep.
And up and down, we've got a total of 16 fights between the early prelims on ESPN Plus, the regular prelims on ESPN, and then the pay-per-view. So this is going to be a long, long Saturday night for you and I and the rest of the fans that watch them from start to finish.
Yep.
But let's talk about this card from some of these smaller, or not smaller, the undercard fights that we like, and then we'll end with the championship fights where we'll go into a bit more detail on those.
Basically, what I did here is I picked 2 fights from the prelims because there's so many good prelims. Picked my 2 favorite prelim fights, and then we'll go over the main card.
That sounds good to me, Paul.
Just to start it off. Yeah, absolutely. So, just to start it off, we got Joey 2 times. Joey Benavidez coming back, taking on Askar Askarov, who is freaking another guy in the division who kind of has a stake and claim to.
We got the flyweight division.
Belt.
Yeah. Joey Benavidez. Tough couple fights against the champ we were just talking about in Figueiredo.
Askarov has a draw against
Davison.
No, not Figueiredo, against freaking Brandon Moreno.
Moreno, that's what. Yeah, I was thinking Moreno said Davison. Huh.
Yeah. So he's a top level talent as well. He's another one of those Dagestani guys.
Yeah, tough as nails. Yeah. Very good. Very strong wrestling base.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about Joey Benavidez here. He's an excellent wrestler, boxer.
Yeah.
That'll be an action-packed fight. I'm glad Benavidez is sticking around and not going out, retiring after those championship fights. I want to see him get some wins here.
I disagree. It's so hard for me to watch him lose twice like that. Like, I just don't.
Dude, he got murdered in both those fights. It was tough. But here, this is something more around his level. Not his level. That sounds bad. I like this as a fight for him a lot better. I think it'll be a good one. And I'm going to go with Joey Benavidez.
I think Askarov is going to get it done.
Fuck you, man.
I hate to be that way, but I think Askar is.
Joey
I think he's on the way up, and Joey's kind of on the way down.
Oh, there's no denying that.
It just is what it is.
But I got to root for my boy Joey Benavidez.
I feel you. Even
though my pictures with him, he looks so just not wanting to be there with me. I get it. It's all right, man. It was a long day of picture taking.
Then moving on up, We got Dominic Cruz coming back from his title loss against Henry Cejudo, taking on Chase Kenny. He's coming off his win against Arnold Allen, right? No, I don't know.
Yeah, his last fight was a win against Nathaniel Wood.
Nathaniel Wood, that's what it was. He's won his last 3 in a row. So, I mean, it's one of those situations where I don't necessarily see what Dominic gets from a win in this fight.
Let's break this down a little bit here. We've got Cruz, who despite losing, he's 22-3, former champion, multiple injuries. We're not going to go over for the casual listeners, but traumatic injuries to himself. Coming out of the booth for this very odd fight against the 16-2-1 young prospect in the division. All right, who you just mentioned is coming off of 3 straight wins.
Yep.
And then when he did lose, he beat Louis Smolka.
Yep.
He beat I can't remember who the middle guy was, and he beat Nathaniel Wood.
Yeah.
I don't really get this fight either. What you're saying is you don't understand why Dominic Cruz is really taking this fight.
I think it's kind of like a warm-up fight almost for him. Like I don't know if he's like planning on some kind of new run to the belt, is what I'm saying. Like because you're talking about his last 2 fights are losses to Garbrandt and Cejudo, and the thing is there was a good amount of time between the losses to Garbrandt and Cejudo as well. Like as far as like I think it was 2 years out of the cage, right? Or a year, 18 months, something like that between those 2 fights. So how much does he really want this? Like, is this something where he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to be fully active again, and I'm going to come in here, I'm going to show everyone that I'm still the top level of the division, and because I think he's ranked like 10th now.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that this is kind of almost a weird transition fight, because if he loses this fight, he's fucking done. Like, done. Like, how I cannot imagine a situation where Dominic Cruz loses this fight and fights ever again.
That would be a tough way to go out. But if you look at the statistics, I mean, Dominic Cruz does hold some advantages. I mean, thus far in his UFC career, Kenny is absorbing about a little over 4 strikes per minute, okay, compared to Dominic's 2.
So Dominic's got some of the best like movement and defense that. Remember, it was one of those things where you talking about like.
Yeah, Dominic's landing 3.5 strikes, strikes a minute on average.
Yeah,
and a guy who's absorbing 4 on average. So you can if you just look at numbers purely, he's going to have a striking advantage there against the guy with kind of poor defense.
Yeah.
Then if you look at takedown numbers,
I was just going to say that's one thing about Dominic's game that's super underrated is the way he uses his striking to get takedowns.
Yes, his takedown accuracy is only around 48%. Because he does get rebuffed some of the time, but you're right. He uses his striking to go in and then get the takedown, and his defense is pretty high at 40 or 83% takedown.
And he
defense.
averages 3 takedowns a fight, basically.
Yeah.
So,
and if you compare that to Kenny or Casey Kenny's defense, his takedown defense is at 56%. So he's getting taken down almost half the attempts against him. So by the numbers alone, you can think that Dominic Cruz has got a striking advantage and a takedown, both defensively and offensive advantage over Kenny.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem with Cruz, though, is what we always talk about when we talk about guys who are aging? What's always the last thing to go? It's the power.
Indeed.
And how much power has really Dominic Cruz shown over his career? He hasn't really shown the ability to have that one-punch power.
No, he's known as a volume striker.
He's more of a volume, speed, and rhythm striker.
And rhythm,
and movement and rhythm are always the first things to go. So when you're talking about a guy who's older, had a lot of injuries, coming off 2 losses.
Yeah, he's lost to Garbrandt and then to Cejudo.
Yeah, I think he wins this fight, but I don't think it's like going to be the beginning of another run at the belt. Like I just don't get this.
Being fair to Cruz and why he might think this way, his loss to Cejudo was, but it was in a championship fight. It's pretty bad. His loss to Garbrandt is a champion, okay, and then his wins prior to that: Faber in his prime, Dillashaw in his prime, Mizugaki. He destroyed Mizugaki on his comeback.
I don't think Faber was in his prime.
Okay, closer to his prime. As much as you can get for Faber in the prime UFC. It wasn't like, when Faber just came back and fought.
Yeah,
true. Like, this is a much more of a big deal.
Yeah.
So, And prior to those wins or those losses, I mean,
Yeah.
he was almost impeccable.
Yeah. Well,
If he doesn't have the plantar fasciitis problem again, which I've been dealing with like right now in my personal life, as I'm trying to work out and, dude, I'm trying to do cardio in the mornings. I can barely fucking stand there and lift weights. I can't imagine fighting with this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm barely able to do shit.
Yeah.
No wonder he couldn't move against Garbrandt. If he's got to deal with that, that's going to fuck him up. If he has injuries, other injuries going to fuck him up. So on paper, he's got advantages, but I still don't like the fight.
Here's my problem with Cruz, and it's always going to be my problem with Cruz. The Mizugaki, Dillashaw, and Faber fights were all in like an 18-month to 2-year span. And then he lost to Garbrandt. And then he takes these breaks where he takes like...
Well, admittedly, they're for injuries. It's not like he's chilling on the beach.
This
dude.
last one before the Cejudo fight wasn't all injuries.
No, you're
because
right.
There's fucking 4 or 5 different fights that he backed out of, like, in that time span.
Yeah, but didn't he get like a broken arm or something in there?
Broke his arm, but then
The dude
he
has so
took
many
an
injuries, I
extra
can't keep
year
him
on
straight.
top of that. So it's like, I don't know.
I don't know either. He's
That's
very
my problem
inactive.
with him though. Is like,
Regardless of the reason,
yeah,
he's super inactive.
he's inactive as fuck sometimes. And you're talking about a guy in Casey Kenny who has, for a younger guy, has a good amount of fights where he's fighting at a pretty regular basis. You know what I mean? And he's got UFC, obviously a lot of UFC experience. So when you talk about a guy who's younger, hungrier, and has the experience against some high level competition, it's always hard for me to pick the older guy who's kind of trying to make another shot at the belt. You know what I mean?
Well, despite my criticisms, I'm going to pick Dominic Cruz to win this fight.
I am too, but I just don't think it's the right fight for him.
I don't think it is either. But this
I'm
is the
taking
fight
him
we
by
got.
decision.
Oh yeah, I'm taking him by decision as well.
Yeah. So let's move a little bit up the card.
Yeah, you think he'd be on the pay-per-view, but this is a prelim.
Yes,
this is a
the
preliminary.
well. This
card.
is the
It's the ESPN prelims.
main event of the prelims.
Main event of the
Yeah.
prelims.
Yeah.
The UFC spins it. It's a prelim fight, and not on the main card prelims.
So to kick off the pay-per-view, we got a banger. We got Thiago Santos coming back, taking on Alexander Rakic.
205-pound boys.
Yeah.
The Hammer Santos.
Rakic coming off the win against Anthony Lionheart Smith. And then you got Santos coming off that loss to Glover. Santos also coming off the freaking double ACL tear, man, which is freaking nuts.
Very tough. That'll be a banger of a fight, Paul.
Yeah. A lot of power between those two
yeah.
guys.
I have no idea who wins the fight. I'm not even going to bother with a pick, but I'm pretty excited. I think it'll be a great way to start the
It's a
pay-per-view.
coin flip because, like, if you really look at it, like, Thiago Santos has just ridiculous hands, and then Rakic has ridiculous kicks. So it's like it's going to be the question of who can land flush.
And if
It's
Santos,
one of those fights, you know?
Yeah, if Santos lands, I'm pretty sure Rakic is going to go out just like most everybody in that division.
I don't see how he could. You know, like
The winner of this fight will definitely move pretty high up into the rankings and be looking to fight somebody in the top 5, I'd say for sure. You know, the winner of this strings together another one, and they'll be knocking on the door title.
well, they're ranked 2 and 4 in the division, so.
We don't know what's really going to happen if.
But light heavyweight's in a weird flux.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a moment. But this is a divisionally impactful fight for the 205-pound weight class.
Yeah, for sure. And then moving on up, we got another pretty good one. We got Islam Makhachev taking on Drew Dober. 14 versus 15 matchup.
It's 155 pounds, yeah.
Yeah. So my question to you is, so after being rumored and scheduled to fight RDA, and, you know, then you get rumored that possibly a Michael Chandler
Talking
fight.
about Makhachev?
Yeah.
He trains with Khabib.
You're talking about possible Kevin Lee. You know, there's all these different fights that you could have had, and you take a guy who is one ranking below you.
And
No
this
offense
is-
to Drew Dober. I think this is actually, you know, more power to Drew Dober
This is a
for
good fight
being
for
willing
Drew.
to take this fight, because Makhachev is kind of like a sleeper in this division. He's kind of only down here because Khabib is his teammate. Like, not saying not in a way that he's not talented. I'm saying he's super talented, but has never gotten any kind of shine or any kind of good matchups
Khabib's
because
been in the division, taking
Khabib's
it.
been
Yeah.
in the division and he didn't want to like, attack the throne.
Well, now Khabib's singing his praises. I mean, before the Poirier Conor fight, Khabib was basically saying him and Chandler were like the guys that were the two that should be fighting for the title next.
I don't know how you can say that, but
I know, but he was putting. I mean, I don't see that either, but that's the praise that's coming from him. You know, he's trying to insert him into the title picture right now.
yeah, he's like Khabib
yeah.
with better striking.
Yeah, pretty much. Drew Dober's got his hands full.
Drew Dober's got hands though too.
No shine for Islam. No offense to Drew. This is a bit down the line from what you were talking. That shit you were talking.
Yeah, yeah, true.
But whatever. Maybe it's the only one that could get signed. We don't know what happens behind closed doors.
Yeah. Ultimately, the one fight I want to see for Islam Makhachev is him and Kevin Lee because I just feel like there's been so much shit talk between those two back and forth about them turning down fights against each other that fight just needs to happen.
I know Kevin Lee is back now from his injury.
Is he?
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah, I think he had announced on social media that he's back to training and looking for a fight.
Jeez.
Maybe I could be wrong.
He tore both his ACLs too.
Yeah, well, maybe soon.
Jesus. Well, who you got ultimately?
I gotta pick Islam.
Yeah, I
in
do
that.
too.
I mean,
Islam is probably going to win that fight. But I'm not counting Drew Dober out ever. He's a guy who's been in there forever, you know?
well, that kind of rounds out the non-title fights that we're gonna finish up talking about, and that leaves us with some in-depth discussion here about 3 title fights on one card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they've got them basically laid out by weight here.
Yeah.
That's traditionally the way the UFC does things, is the heaviest batch winds up in the main event, and then
Yeah.
the only
the
time it
biggest
doesn't
star.
really seem to do that is when Conor's around.
Yeah.
Okay,
Biggest
so
stars.
yeah, that as well, which tend to be the bigger guys also.
Yeah.
So the first of the 3 main events, because that's basically what it is going to be the 135-pound championship, right? So we've got Petr Yan defending that title against our friend,
Aljamain.
big fan, Aljamain Sterling, finally getting a title shot that I and you and everybody that is a fan of his has been thinking is long deserved.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited by this fight. We've got Jan is 15-1-0. We've got Sterling at 19-3.
Yep.
What are your initial thoughts of this matchup here?
You know what I think is going to be ultimately the real X factor of this fight is the size of the cage.
These are all being contested in Las Vegas in the small cage. When we say small cage, I mean, they'll say on the broadcast booth it's only 2 feet smaller, and that doesn't, or 3 feet smaller, and that might not initially sound like much, but the cubic footage, or however you want to describe it, inside that cage is dramatically smaller.
Dramatically, yeah.
I have heard it to be equal to, like, if you look at the big cage, then there's the black line, that's the start of the small cage.
Okay.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I've heard that said on multiple sources.
Okay.
It's dramatically smaller, yes. There's nowhere to go if you're a fighter that likes to be rangy and outside, right? And if you're a fighter that likes pressure and close and wrestling, theoretically, it's easier, correct?
Which is why I think this is ultimately a super good thing for Aljamain, because I think when you look at this fight, you talk about 2 guys who will never take a step back, you know. Petr Yan literally walks down every single opponent he fights. He throws a lot of combos, a lot of significant strikes.
Well, let's talk about his strikes for a minute. We've got some stats here. We were talking about Dominic Cruz's pretty high at 3.5 a minute ago.
Yep.
Strikes landed per minute from Petr Yan are over 6. He's at 6.32 per
With
minute.
50% accuracy
landed
on
with a
top of that.
50% accuracy. On top. That is very impressive.
You know what that speaks for is that idea that he's walking people down, because
Absolutely.
if he's throwing a lot of strikes, he's probably landed more than half of them, but you know what I'm saying? He's landed in clusters. You know what I'm saying?
His strikes absorbed per minute are a little on the higher side, but that's going to happen when you're throwing so much, and it's a little bit over 3. His defense overall, though, 63% when it comes to his striking defense. That's high. I mean, these two statistically are, the striking accuracy is similar. Aljamain's no slouch. I mean, he's landed more than Cruz, too. He's at almost 5. He's at 4.82 strikes per minute landed.
Also with the 50% accuracy.
Yeah, also, exactly. So that's pretty fairly matched up here. You've got Sterling with a reach advantage of 71 inches to 67 inches, which could play a factor maybe in a bigger cage, maybe
Especially
less of a factor in a smaller cage.
Aljo likes to stick that jab out, though.
And he's got a very lengthy jab. He extends very well on it. So it's more than just his reach. He steps forward and puts his body into it very nicely.
You know what's so weird about Aljo, though? Is where a lot of guys set up their kicks with punches, I feel like he sets his punches up with kicks. Like, he'll come in and he'll leg kick you 4 times. Not even that he's trying to leg kick you. It's just so that you react to the leg kick and he sets you up and comes over the top with his left, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's real weird. And he sets his wrestling up with kicks too. He'll like shoot a shot off of like a leg kick. Like, he'll leg kick and just like transition into a single. It's like, it's real unorthodox.
It is very unorthodox. If you look at some of their past fights, you see basically what you're saying. You see that boxing heavy from Jan in a wide mix, including submissions coming from Aljamain Sterling.
Aljo's got some great submissions.
He's coming from New York.
Yeah, Matt Serra.
From Matt Serra and Ray Longo.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys have.
Little side note: he did half his training camp here.
Sterling did.
Yeah, at Extreme Couture.
I know. I was in a Walmart like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and he was coming in the door beside me. I was like, "Is that Aljamain Sterling?"
Yeah.
And it was. I didn't bother him. I was just like, "Aljamain," with a nod, and then I left it at that because I met him several times before. But yeah, he was definitely here.
Yeah.
I seen him at the Wally World.
Yeah, they're showing on Embedded. He moved here.
Yeah, he moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's. I think
got
it's
a
smart.
little bit of that. He said a big part of it was because of PI, though.
Well, let's talk about the PI for sure. Let's talk about some wins here. We saw Petr Yan in his last fight beat Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was a competitive fight, though, for the first 2 rounds.
was.
Aldo looked real good up to the 3rd round.
And then he got beat down and TKO'd. However, you're right. He did look pretty good in that fight.
I think what Jan did that really impressed me in that fight, too, is his ability to trade with Aldo and his willingness to take some of those big shots from Aldo and still keep coming forward.
Well, he landed 194 strikes against Jose Aldo.
Those numbers are a bit inflated, though, because you got to remember it was real close on the feet until he took Aldo down. And remember, the ref wasn't stopping the fight, and Aldo just got literally beat into the ground.
Yeah, he TKO'd him in the 5th round.
Was it 5th?
Yeah.
Damn.
But Aldo, he took 83 punches from Aldo in that fight. He had a takedown on him too, like you said. So very impressive. Although for me, I'm still iffy on Jose Aldo at this weight class. But whatever, it was what it was. Prior to that, Jan beat Faber. Although this is not the same Faber.
That was a fucking beatdown.
Yeah, he destroyed him.
Faber up.
This wasn't the same Faber that fought. We're talking about Dominic Cruz beat Faber. This is a different generation of Faber at this point.
Yep.
It still counts for something, but it's not on paper.
That was the
maybe
title
as impressive
eliminator
as it
where
sounds.
Henry was kind of hanging that belt over Faber's head, saying if he could beat Jan, that he would stay and he'd fight him. But instead, he ended up taking the Dominic Cruz side.
And he also beat Jimmy Rivera prior to that, who we were discussing earlier.
Yep.
And he beat Rivera when Rivera was, I believe, 19-0 at that point.
That Rivera fight was very strange, though. If you go back and watch that fight, so Rivera won all 3 rounds.
Well, yeah, you want to talk about stats. You had Petr Yan landing 56 punches to Rivera's 73.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But Yan did have a takedown in that fight.
Rivera won all 3 rounds. But
you
know what happened? You know what happened, though? He got knocked down at the end of every round.
It was every round. Petr Yan was throwing it on.
Yeah, so literally, it was like a dominant performance by Rivera until literally the last minute of every round. Petr Yan was able to knock him down.
Opening him up, knocking him down.
Yeah.
Open it up, knocking him down.
All right. It was a weird fight.
And then prior to that, of course, he has a beatdown of John Dobson.
See,
which
I
was
thought
what,
that
was what
fight
it
was
was.
bullshit too.
I don't know. He had 3 takedowns, 76 punches landed and a sub.
Well, no. I know. I'm
Versus,
not
you
saying
know,
like the
Or a
decision
sub
was
attempt, I
bullshit.
should say. But
I just didn't like how they were scoring the fight because it was another one where like in the first round, Dobson got hurt and it was like Jan tried to empty the tank on him, and like after that, I thought their exchanges were pretty even. So, I don't know. That's just me though.
I don't know. Dodson only landed 28 punches in that fight to 78. I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I'd
stats
say
can
he
be
probably hit him.
misleading, but
He probably hit him like 47 times in the first round to like 5, if we're being honest.
well, let's compare that resume and what he had going on versus what Aljamain Sterling has been doing. So, who was his last fight on?
Well, here's the thing too with Aljo is you kind of have to go back even before that.
You want to go back just a little bit deeper than his win against Sandhagen?
No, I'm talking way deeper than that. Because if you look at Aljo's record, so he had that 2-fight skid, right?
Yeah, he's 19-3.
Yeah, where he lost to Sun Tzu, he lost to Brian Caraway.
He's got 5 in a row, maybe more right now.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that Caraway loss.
the
yeah,
Caraway
and the
loss
Sun
was
Tzu
a
loss, yeah.
weird one, and the Sun Tzu loss was a weird one.
Yeah.
Then he gets back on track with a win against Mendez, and then he beats Henan Barao. But then he
He
gets
fucked up Henan.
devastatingly knocked out by Marlon Moraes. Like, devastatingly knocked out.
Yeah, he did get slept in a very ugly way.
And then that was what he had lost 3 out of his last 5. And everyone was everyone kind of thought, hey, maybe Aljo isn't the prospect we thought. Maybe he's just kind of another guy in the division. But then I feel like he went back to the shed and just came out and just looked way, way better on his feet, man. Like, way better on his feet.
Yeah, he was always known as a bit more as the submission
Specialist and the guy who's going to take you down and ground pound you.
Yeah, well, he decided to focus on striking out there at Sierra Longo or here.
Yeah, well, and then also when you talk about Aljo, he throws a lot of unique strikes. You know, he throws a lot of elbows, back elbows.
Very unorthodox.
It's very John Jones-esque. He has a very John Jones-esque style.
He's long like Jones, too, for the weight class. I mean,
Yeah.
71-inch reach at 135 is, for a 5'7" guy, is pretty long.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. So then you turn it around, he wins, freaking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Was it
6 in a row.
6 in a row.
Well, 5 in a row because he's got the Jan fight next.
So he
So-
beats Johns,
Yeah, it beats
Right.
Brett Johns,
which that
Cody
is what it is.
Stanman,
Cody
Jimmy
Stanman's a good
Rivera.
fighter. Then the aforementioned Rivera.
Yeah. And then I feel like where he really, really took the next step, though, and really showed that, like, he's in this bitch was in the Pedro Munoz fight.
Yeah, he fights both of the guys we were just talking about earlier in the show, Jimmy Rivera and Pedro Munoz back to back.
And
Beats them both.
I feel like when he fought Munoz, I feel like it was ultimately like his coming out party. Like that was his 4th win in a row. He was able to stand with Munoz and strike and take the big shots because that was everyone's biggest thing. Was like, yeah, Aljo's dope, but that knockout from Moraes will like forever change him. And I feel like it didn't. Like a lot of people thought that when he lost that fight because that knockout was so devastating. Like it was like, remember he was glitched. Like it was rough. And then for him to come back and put all these wins together, if he loses on Saturday.
Yeah, he winds up
I'll
winning
be
a
upset.
decision against Munoz, but it was a very dominant decision.
Very
I mean, he
dominant,
landed
yeah.
174 significant strikes
Yeah.
in that. That's very impressive. You know, while only taking about 105, that's a pretty, you know, against Munoz is a very excellent striker, as we saw against Rivera. So, and then after that, of course, he takes on Sandhagen and just boom.
That
I mean,
freaking
rear naked
Sandhagen
chokes
fight
him
was
in the
nuts.
first round in just a few seconds. And
It was
Sandhagen
nuts.
had all the heat. I
Yeah.
mean, he had all the smoke behind him. He was the guy everybody
Still
was talking
does.
about. He still does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even after that.
Yeah.
So,
What happened in that Sandhagen fight was just fucking nuts, bro. Like, literally. It was crazy. Because when you're talking about, like, he slips a punch, hits him with a duck under, backpacks him, climbs his body, puts him in a rear naked choke, finishes him, puts him out. All in, like, 15 seconds.
against a
was
six, I mean,
nuts.
Sandhagen's like 6 foot.
Is he 6 foot? Yeah, he's a big motherfucker.
I think he's 6 or 6'1". He's very tall. We're going to talk
Very
about tall
tall,
for the weight
yeah.
class. He's
Climbed
bigger
him.
than.
He just
yeah,
like
just
Spider-Man
right up
climbed
him.
his
Yeah.
ass.
It was an amazing amazing performance against the guy who had just all the action behind him. Who, like you said, despite being beaten that way, still.
Ultimately, we thought that fight should have been for the belt over the Aldo and Jan fight.
I still think it should have been, but it is what it is, and now we're getting what we should have got.
Yeah.
Which is a very significant fight here for the title.
Who you got?
I'm picking Aljamain Sterling.
I'm taking Sterling. I think Sterling by submission in the second round.
Ooh, wow.
Take that to the bank.
Wow. I'm picking Sterling. I like a submission as well, but I'm going to go a little bit later. I would picture that to be in the 4th or 5th.
See, I was watching Countdown, and I watched Jan's training and everything like that. I just have a hard time thinking he's ever going to fade. I think the best chance for Aljo to get in and out of there is to do it early.
Get it. He'd be great in the first while everybody's still dry,
Yeah. But
I have a question for you, just real quick.
Yeah.
Because I can't figure this out. Because everybody knows that's watched MMA for any significant period of time that submissions can be more likely in the first round because fighters aren't super sweaty. And as the fight goes on, they can be harder to get because fighters get all fucking sweaty and slippery. Well, how come you don't just break yourself a little fucking sweat before you come out to the fight?
I think they do, but remember they get the check at the refs like at the beginning. So I
They
think
get dried off right there?
Yeah, I'd imagine they'd probably dry them off if they came out fucking soaking wet, sweating.
That could be.
Like, I don't know.
'Cause that's not an issue. I only have the experience of boxing where that's just not a fucking issue. Like they're
And
not,
to be
they don't
honest,
give a
it's
shit.
really not that big of an issue. Like I've wrestled people all the time who are fucking ridiculous.
Well,
sweating
anybody that
motherfuckers. It's
watches
not that
hears
serious.
guys like Joe Rogan and John Anik.
It's
and
tougher.
DC
I'm not
just
saying it's
be
not
like,
tougher.
oh, it's the first round. The guys are dry.
Yeah, no,
know?
I'm not saying it's not tougher when someone's sweaty. I'm just saying it's not that big a deal as people think it is.
I buy it. I ultimately, Sterling. I'm seeing a submission at some point. Maybe I can't predict the round, but I like him. I like him here. This is his coming out party. I think he's the champ the UFC needs too, and I think Petr Jan is very talented, and we could possibly see him, in the future.
This could happen more than once.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this next one, I don't think we need to go too in depth on.
Well, this is going to be the Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson,
Mm-hmm.
and this Nunes has 2 titles. She's the only UFC champion that's been allowed to keep 2 titles. For those of you that are unaware, and defend them both, and that's because there isn't really a 145-pound division. There's like 4 people in it, so there's not this thing being held up, because that's the reason champs can't have both. One division gets log jammed. So this is for that. Megan Anderson's a good fighter. I mean, let's talk about it. She's 11-4. Amanda Nunes is considered the greatest before she's retired already. I mean, it's hard to argue.
Yeah, I don't see how anyone could really see it any other way.
She's already surpassed what everybody else has done. So there's no one, it's not like we were talking about earlier with Canelo when you got to compare him with Robinson and Hagler and all these other people because all these weight classes he's been in. We're talking about a woman that's done so much in the sport right now. The only one that was close was Cyborg, and she got knocked out and sent to the B leagues. So Amanda Nunes, 20-4. She's 5'8". Megan Anderson does have a height advantage. She's 6 feet tall. She's got a 72-inch reach.
Yeah, she's also 3-2 in her last 5.
And she's 3-2 in her last 5. And basically, I mean no disrespect. I am a fan. But
2 in
you're
a
getting
row.
the title shot because the division is the shallowest division in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
I don't just mean the UFC. Name a division in any mixed martial arts league that is shallower than the women's UFC 145 pound.
You won't find one.
There's not rankings because there's not enough fighters to qualify for the UFC rankings. It requires 15 fighters. There's not 15. Seriously, there's like, 4 or 5?
I think there's like 6, yeah.
Yeah, so, again, I think this will be over quick. This is short work. I think Nunes is going to come out and put
I
a
agree.
wall up in honor.
Yeah.
And that's not because Megan is not talented. That's not because she hasn't earned it. And it's not to say that she's not going to be successful after this. But you're fighting someone who is the top of the food chain in mixed martial arts.
Yeah,
not just in
she's-
the women's division, and not just because you're in a
And
shallow
she just
division.
had a kid. She's got something more to fight for.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes is an all-time great
Yeah.
in the world of mixed
Without a
martial
doubt.
arts, period, the end. And she's going to win here pretty handily.
She's the all-time great as far as women.
Yeah. Her striking is on point. Her wrestling is on point. She's strong as an ox. She's beaten everybody. She beat Ronda when Ronda was something. She beat Miesha Tate. Yeah. She knocked out Cyborg.
Holly.
She beat Holly. She beat Valentina Shevchenko.
Like she beat everybody.
Yeah, there's nobody left. Megan's going to join the list.
The only one she hasn't beaten is no longer with the organization anymore.
Exactly. So that leaves...
Let's get down to business here.
The big dogs, the 205-pound title fight between new champion Jan Błachowicz versus 185-pound Israel Adesanya. And let's start off by saying Israel Adesanya claims to not be gaining any weight for this fight. He says he's going to be fighting basically at the same weight that he fights at 185. So that's going to play into this discussion. I don't know where to begin on this. I think it's a very unusual fight. I think that what I just said is going to be a big part of the storyline, whichever way it goes. Because usually when fighters move up a weight class, they bulk up a bit. You've got him saying prior to this fight he might actually weigh in 10 pounds to 11 pounds under the weight limit. He was talking about a 194, 193 maybe.
Just to clarify that a bit also, a big reason why he said that is because he said that he's not necessarily going to be cutting weight. Like, he's going to be eating, drinking, doing whatever. But he's going to do the weight cut workout with the guys on his team that are cutting weight.
So he's going to be doing the cardio exercising, to be more specific, but not the sauna and the...
I mean, he's probably going to be in there with them, but he's going to be more of like...
the sweatsuits. I mean, the nylon sweatsuits.
Sauna suit.
Sauna suit. Thank you.
Yeah.
It wasn't coming to me. God, I hate those things.
Yeah, so I think... I don't know how big of a problem this is going to be. I think it really just comes down to, once again, we're talking about this smaller octagon. Is Jan going to be able to find his shots a little bit better because things are going to be a little bit more close quarters?
I don't know. Jan does have grappling. I mean, he does average a little over one takedown per fight. It's not a huge amount, but it is.
And he stopped...
average.
He stopped freaking... What's his name? Jacare from taking him down.
Right.
For 5 rounds straight.
He's got good defense against premier level guys. I mean, his takedown defense stats are only 66% accuracy on takedown defense, but that's still, like you said, he prevented Jacare from taking him down.
But then again, Izzy fucking never gets taken down.
Yeah, Izzy, but he has 0 takedown attempts too. So this isn't going to be contested there unless... And this is where I think this is a big gamble by Adesanya, because Błachowicz is going to be cutting down from, I would estimate, anywhere from 212 to 220 to hit that 205 mark.
You think he's that small? I think he's a little bit bigger than that.
I'm trying to guess on the low side, but it could be more.
Yeah, he's probably 225.
And on fight night, that's where he's going to be.
Yeah.
And you've got Adesanya, who's made a point of every interview leading into this, talking about how anybody who gains weight for moving up a weight class is an idiot. He's directly referencing John Jones putting on weight for heavyweight without saying it.
Yeah.
And that he's going to prove everybody wrong by showing up exactly how he fights at 185 because it's technique over size and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Which
I find it very interesting because Błachowicz is a pretty big dude. I mean, I know technically Adesanya is taller. Adesanya is 6'4". Jan's 6'2". Yeah.
So here's my question to you, though. So we've seen in the past guys who cut massive amounts of weight, and then they end up in the cage around 15, 20 pounds above their weight class and go out and lose plenty of times.
Well, that's, I'd say, pretty much the way it is in most UFC fights.
Yeah. So my question to you is, if Izzy does come out and is able to win this fight without, really putting on that weight, and he were to stay at 205 pounds, you think it's sustainable?
I don't think that's sustainable against a lot of these fighters, no.
No?
I think
I
it's
just
a
want to see
big
how
gamble
his power carries.
because he keeps saying things like, I fought at heavyweight as a kickboxer. But that's not the same thing. So in kickboxing, you didn't have some guy physically grabbing you and putting his weight on you and leaning on you and picking you up and dropping you. I know that hasn't happened to him yet. But he hasn't fought a guy who's 30 pounds heavier than him in the cage either.
Yeah. True.
He just hasn't. So I think that this is if he were to go out and lose this fight, that is going to be the storyline, is that he shouldn't have tried to fuck around and be in a heavyweight or a light heavyweight bout against fucking around at 193 pounds against a 225-pound man.
Yeah.
It's not like Błachowicz is some slouch.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you're a generational talent like Israel is, or like John is, like, there's always that question, where, like, does your size matter? Like, I feel like that's what, like, is the question. Like, is it your technique or is it your ability to control people physically?
Well, let's talk about their technique then for a second. When we're talking about striking, when it comes to this, all right? Now, everybody immediately tends to think what you do is that Adesanya would be having a clear advantage, right?
Yeah, everyone talks about that in the middleweight division, he's not stronger, but he's longer and taller than everybody. He's got a reach advantage on pretty much every single person he's fought.
Well, let's look at the actual numbers. You talk about reach. He does have a small reach advantage here of 2 inches, 80 to 78. All right,
Damn, he's got an 80-inch reach.
let's talk about striking, though. Despite everything that gets talked about, he only lands a little over 4 strikes per minute, 4.1. And we were just talking about Petr Yan.
I think those numbers are
6.
I think those numbers are skewed though,
And he
because of the
lands at a
Yoel
50% accuracy. It could be, but he's got 20 fights. I mean,
yeah, but I feel like you take that Yoel fight out of the equation, I think that's a different
know.
metric. Because let's just be
I don't
honest.
know. I don't think one fight is going to influence at this point in time when he's got a 20 fight body of work.
Yeah, but in that 5-round fight, he threw maybe 40 or 50 punches, if that.
Well, let's compare that. We got what we got. You could be right, but it's at 4.10 at a 50% accuracy. Błachowicz is at 3.49 with 48% accuracy. It's not like he's some wrestler.
Yeah.
All right, strikes absorbed per minute. Adesanya is getting a little over 2.33. Jan, close to 3, 2.74. Not that much of a difference here.
Yeah.
I mean, for what you would think number-wise, it might be a blowout. My point not being that is Jan on his level striking-wise? No. Is he a slouch in the striking department? Definitely not. His striking defense is 54%. Adesanya is at 65. He does have him beat pretty handily there. But then with the takedowns, of course, you got Błachowicz averaging more, and his takedown accuracy is obviously going to be more. Yeah. Takedown defense, he's no slouch. I don't see Izzy's not going to try to take him down. So
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
We've got an interesting matchup where I think it is going to come down to the size, and I don't know if Israel Adesanya is right or if he's wrong, and I would really like to find out.
I feel you.
I kind of think it's ripe for an upset here. If the line is good enough, I might put a little money on Jan. If it's like plus 300 or even higher,
could be.
Because I think he's got that chance for that to happen.
Polish power.
If you're just saying, and I'd only be betting that if the odds were that great. When it comes to I guess I'd pick Adesanya ultimately to win, though, because he's Israel Adesanya. We haven't seen him lose.
Yeah, I think Izzy's just more talented.
We've seen Jan. He has lost before. I mean, so, yeah, I guess I'll pick Israel Adesanya, but I'm not going to really be that shocked if Jan goes out there, bullies him around for a while, and drops him.
Yeah. I wouldn't be either.
And I think
That's
next week
another
we'll be talking about how he should have put on some weight, and he fucked around with people that were too big, and that's why John Jones weighs 252 pounds of muscle right now.
Well, and the only person we've ever seen Jan get knocked out by was Santos. Mm-hmm. All his other losses are by unanimous decision.
And it's hard to be thinking you can't take a punch because Thiago Santos knocked you out.
Exactly.
I mean, that is what it is.
But on the same side, Thiago Santos is also an 85er who moved up to 205.
Yeah, but he was cutting heavy weight to get down to 85.
I know. I was just
good Lord.
I was trying to play it there a little bit.
That guy must have been dying during that cut, man.
Yeah.
Jesus criminy. So, I expect this to be an amazing bout, but
Yeah, I got Izzy.
I think Izzy's ultimately gonna
Think
use your
Izzy-
word. Ultimately, I think he's gonna pull it off here,
I think Izzy wins by unanimous decision.
and I don't think he can keep that up at 205. Though I just don't. There's
Who's really like that great
I don't know.
talent-wise though at 205 though? Glover's gonna beat him? No.
but people. I don't know. I don't know. That's tough.
Like look at 205. Look at the top 5 right now.
You think he tried to fight Big John?
Who?
Because Big John Jones, because that's who he is now. He's not John anymore. He's Big John.
I was
Meaning
like,
at
the
heavy.
ref?
No, meaning would he fight John at heavyweight? Talking about I would fight you at my 193 while you weigh 250.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's my thing.
That'd be
What if
interesting.
Izzy just does the ultimate fuck you to John and just beats everyone at 205 and is like, haha, see, I told you it wasn't that hard, and just fucking just knocks everyone out?
Well, let's talk about the what ifs here. Let's do it. Since we're talking about Adesanya winning, okay, what if he does win? Does he keep both? Does he attempt to keep both titles?
I think he should keep the 205 belt and just fight 205. Because if you're able to just dismantle the champion, which ultimately, I just think it's just what's gonna happen. Like I fucking hate to say it, but I just think he's gonna tool with Jan. I just don't see it going any other way. I think Jan's a little too slow for him.
It's kind of what I've been figuring all along until I heard this weight thing, and then the weight thing really made me wonder.
Fucked with your brain, huh?
It did, because Adesanya doesn't know what that's like. He thinks he knows, I think, because he keeps referring to how he's boxed and kickboxed at heavier weights. But so what? That's not wrestling, and that's not
Yeah, but
jiu-jitsu with guys of that weight.
in the same breath, when has Jan Błachowicz been the biggest wrestler in the world, though? He's generally a striker.
Right, but would we not possibly see? Do you think he's gonna? Do you think in his brain he thinks he can go toe to toe with Adesanya? Maybe.
Yeah.
Or you think he might
watching the countdown, yeah, they think they 100% can. Watch the.
I'm not saying he doesn't have the power to sleep him. I think he does.
Go back and watch the countdown. They are not focusing at all on grappling. Everything is striking.
You think that's legit though?
I would have to think so, knowing his history as a fighter, and yeah, I 100%
Really
believe
intrigued.
that.
Look, Adesanya's got me really, really interested. And no matter what happens this weekend,
Yeah.
his lack of weight increase will be talked about next week, whether
In one
he's
way or
successful
another,
or
yeah.
unsuccessful.
Absolutely.
Because I think it makes an incredible statement if he does go in there with that dramatic of a weight difference. Let's say Jan's 220. Let's just put him there. And he comes in at, say, 195,
Yeah.
198.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that is probably what he weighs.
Well, hate to break it to you, but that's kind of what happened in the Paulo Costa fight. That dude showed up at like 215,
But
218.
dude, Paulo Costa was drunk, so.
My bad.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, Paulo Costa went on social media and claimed that he
Drank too much wine the night before.
drank a bottle of wine to combat his insomnia the night before. And
was
then by the
hungover.
time he went to the cage, was not only hung over, but still drunk to an extent, which is a load of
Shit.
horse crap.
Who's got the better excuses, Deontay Wilder or Paulo Costa?
Well, Deontay Wilder still got him beat on that, but Costa is making a run. Like, if he keeps it up, I mean, if he comes out with,
Sign the
Adesanya
contract.
fucking poisoned him,
Sign the deal. Sign the contract on.
because you definitely weren't drunk
Yeah.
during the fight at all. Because dumbass, you get piss tested before and after the fight, and I guarantee you they test for alcohol. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So that's not true.
Yeah.
And maybe you did drink a bottle of wine, and if you did, you're really stupid. Yeah. Drink a sweet beverage in large amounts of alcohol so you feel extra shitty the next day. If you're gonna drink, Paul, why wouldn't you take 2 shots of fucking tequila? Yeah. I mean, you can't
little
sleep.
bottle
You
of
take a shot of
drink all-
scotch or two. You don't drink a fucking bottle of wine. That's a guaranteed hangover. Because I promise you
Yeah.
that you weren't drinking no fine ass wine.
Yeah, no.
You're drinking some garbage from the fucking liquor store
Yeah.
that didn't cost much money, which gave you an even worse fucking sugar alcohol hangover the next day, if that's true. That's really, really
It's
stupid.
really dumb to admit, though. Anyways, let's just.
It's
be
the worst
honest.
excuse. Because You sound like a pussy anyways. You're drinking a bottle of wine because you can't sleep the night before your big fight. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's ruining his whole.
Grammy, come hold your little hand.
He's ruining his whole
Dude, that coming
image.
over, that after Adesanya came up and did the butt fuck move behind him. Come on. Adesanya did straight fucking humped his ass up in the air on national television. And then he comes out with, I drank a bottle of wine. Like, you can't even take your loss like a man. It's such a bad look. I don't get it. I don't understand. Yeah. Could you do more damage to your image? Or credibility?
True.
I mean,
Ultimately,
I found that one
true.
of the more shocking things a fighter has come out and said. Like, let's say that was legit.
Yeah.
Why would you come
Why the
out
fuck
and
would you
say
say
that?
Yeah, why the fuck would you say that, even if it was legit? Like, come on. Come on.
You know, I'll compare that to this. Everybody talks about the amazing Anderson Silva when he would move up to 205, right? And he fought Forrest Griffin, and who was a former 205 champ, and he just embarrassed him. It was like Adesanya, like God moves, God level, fucking God mode shit,
He knocked
right?
him off the jab.
I mean,
flip.
and he was just slipping and making Forrest Griffin look a fool.
Yeah.
Okay, now this came out not from. I don't believe this came from Forrest Griffin,
I
but
think it was from Joe.
this came out like so long after the fact. I mean, well into Forrest Griffin's retirement, that he fucking took a Xanax the fucking night before the fight.
Oh, I thought you were about to say the knockout thing.
No, Forrest Griffin literally less than 12 hours before the fight took a Xanax, which someone gave him, and like was not Xanax is not an item that was at that time tested for pre-fight by the State Athletic Commission. All right. And was fucking still loopy from that shit during the Anderson Silva fight. And he's never come out and said that himself as an excuse, okay? And you compare that to...
They also said that knockout thing, too, though, so I don't know.
What knockout thing is that?
They said that he was knocked out in the camp before it happened.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, that was a thing that everybody would know about.
That was like 2
in
weeks
the camp.
before.
I mean, if you've ever taken a Xanax, which I have, if you have any lingering effects from that at all, which it is like a 12-hour drug, that's not something you want to be on. Now, my point of this story is not Forrest Griffin took a Xanax the night before Anderson Silva. My point is, at no point in a very embarrassing loss did Forrest Griffin ever come out with that fucking excuse. Ever. I mean, this is broken, I'm pretty sure, not by him. Whether it's true or not, let's just, for the sake of the story, say it is. He's not putting that out there.
Yeah.
It's so far along now, it's just this little story. You know what I mean? Now it's just kind of this funny thing.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, people who, like,
Compared
dwell
to
on shit
Paulo
like
Costa,
that.
who's, like, issued excuse after excuse now.
Sign the contract.
Sign the contract, yeah.
Over and over.
Now he's talking about, I drank a bottle of wine. It's embarrassing, bro. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. It's terrible.
But shifting back to my rant being over, and Adesanya is ultimately going to win.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think that about wraps our show up for today.
It does, man. An exciting weekend coming up, folks.
Absolutely.
I think everybody's going to enjoy it.
Yep.
And I hope that you've enjoyed the show. I know Paul feels the same.
Absolutely.
Hope you have some fine weed for the UFC event as well. We're going to get back to smoking ours. If you're new to the show, you can catch all of our episodes wherever you get your podcast from Spotify to Apple to Google and everything in between. Video on YouTube. We're on radio.net, Orange Radio app, WBUZ 95. And we've tried to get all this info and stick it together in this handy-dandy place.
SWATmade.com. You can head over there, click the gear button, support the podcast, and buy a t-shirt or jacket, motherfuckers.
See you next week, everybody.
Peace.